Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of KozMatt's Wrestling. I'm Matt Carpio alongside Kyle Arado.
What's going on, Matt?
Let's just say at least this Raw certainly lived up to its standards. Trust me, guys, stay tuned for this Raw recap because you guys are not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, it was certainly one of the best ones I've seen in a while, even trending #1 on Twitter for a minute there.
Let's just start and jump right into the action as Raw opens up with the United States Champion Apollo Crews defending his title against MVP. Of course, with Bobby ringside, there was going to be some shenanigans, but listen, Apollo still was able to put MVP away to dethrone him of his United States Championship.
Yeah, a championship that he really never won to begin with.
No, let's just say he still got it, so I'm happy.
We then see Charlie Caruso backstage interviewing Apollo Crews about his United States Championship win and his way back to the WWE.
You know, MVP was then shown ringside after the match with a mic in his hand ranting to the commentators saying he wanted a rematch with Apollo Crews at SummerSlam. We then cut to a commercial and came back with Sarah Schreiber interviewing Sasha Banks and Bayley, wondering if they are putting their titles on the line at SummerSlam.
Yeah, any of them, because they hold all the women's gold.
You know, to answer this, Bayley and Sasha then led us to a cut promo of, well, Bayley and Sasha's recent reactions and actions, as well as last week whipping Kairi Sane into the ladder backstage for the main event. We then cut to Asuka backstage screaming in her language, then saying, "Revenge will be sweet." We then cut back to the tag team champs backstage with the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, showing up, slapping Sasha Banks in the face hard.
Yeah, I mean, she said that it's her time now and she can't wait anymore. We then cut to KO and the Iconics backstage. The Iconics trying to get on the KO show that night, but Kevin Owens saying he already had guests scheduled for this week.
Kevin Owens introduces us to the Kevin Owens Show and glamors about how Shane McMahon is returning tonight on Raw and introduces his friend Ruby Riott. Ruby then comes down and talks about how she shut up the Iconics last week on Raw, and she actually wishes Liv was there to see, as then Kevin Owens welcomes Liv to the ring. Ruby was nervous, I could tell.
Yeah, certainly an awkward moment there because the two were friends, but they had some troubled past.
You know, I felt Kevin Owens was actually trying to get them to come back as friends.
Yeah, I love seeing Kevin Owens as the good guy. You know, he's stepped over a few guys to make his way to the top, but it really seems like he's turning face, and I can't wait to see it. Oh man, well, Ruby really gave it to Liv, explaining how she expected everything to be the same when she came back after her injury, but everything was different. And she took it out on Liv Morgan, and she apologized for it many times.
You know, Peyton and Billy say they both are better than Liv and Ruby. Liv replies saying, "No one starts a riot besides us." So, you know, right here my heart kind of started pumping out of my chest, and I felt that we were getting a Riot Squad return. But Peyton, Royce, and Billy then slapped Kevin Owens as they kept talking because...
Yeah, Kevin Owens asked to cut their mics, and he got a slap in the face because of it.
You know, the Riot Squad then actually attacked the two as we then cut to commercial. This was nice seeing. I was happy to see this type of action.
Yeah, we then had an impromptu tag team match between all four women. The Riot Squad getting the win via roll-up.
You know, my heart, it felt happy seeing this. I was happy for Ruby, absolutely.
Yeah, and then Ruby actually defends her friend after the Iconics try to attack Liv, and they both work together. It was really great to see.
We then come back from commercial with Charlie Caruso explaining the power outage situation earlier on Raw, as MVP then shows up as Charlie tells him Apollo accepts the challenge for SummerSlam. Then Shelton comes over saying how the 24/7 title has been stolen.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but
like, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on this Raw. It's been absolute chaos, but to be honest, I love it. I love it. But then we cut to Drew McIntyre, the WWE Championship, coming down to the ring, cutting a quick promo on Randy Orton, saying that
he's been fed with a silver spoon, and they were both told that they were going to be the future of the WWE, but Randy Orton said that he is the future, the past, and everything in between.
Let me just say, alongside Randy Orton had Ric Flair. Let me just say, this promo between these two men was outstanding. To sum it up, pretty much, Drew McIntyre called Randy Orton a prick, and he said he's basically going to kill the Viper come SummerSlam. So we then come back with Kevin Owens and Ric Flair backstage as Ric Flair says Kevin Owens is caring too much about others like he is with Ruby Riott and the Iconics, along with Liv Morgan.
Kevin Owens then tells Rick to get his client ready for a match next week, saying that he will show his in-ring talent against the Viper Randy Orton. I certainly can't wait for this match next week.
We then cut to Nia Jax in the ring with Pat Buck to apologize, but she starts to deny her actions and actually asks Pat
for a match
tonight. And Pat, of course, he
turns
declines
it down,
it.
and indefinitely suspends Nia Jax without pay.
Nia Jax did not like hearing this and actually throws Pat outside of the ring. I mean, this was brutal.
Crazy.
This was brutal. I feel bad for Pat.
Hey, we've seen Nia Jax compete against men before, so I thought there might be a chance of that match actually happening. Who knows? We might even see it at SummerSlam.
Well, then as Nia Jax starts to walk backstage, R-Truth runs out to the ring with the ninjas chasing him. So before his match with Tozawa and Shelton Benjamin, Tozawa gets the win after a hard senton onto Truth. So, I mean, this match that we just were led to, I think it was a pretty good match with these three competitors.
Yeah, the 24/7 championship always adds a little excitement to the night, and it didn't disappoint tonight either.
But coming up next, Shane McMahon was in a dark room with a bunch of men yelling and hitting a canvas.
It
with
was like a
two
backyard
men
brawl
with
situation.
two men grappling each other, fighting in a ring. It was weird.
Yeah, they called it the Raw Underground. I can't wait to see what comes up about it.
He tells us to
I'm
tune in
looking
at 10
forward to
p.m.
it.
for Raw Underground, so I was looking forward to 10 o'clock p.m. I was just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, usually that third hour of Raw drags on, but I was actually excited for it tonight.
Yep.
We then see a promo of last week Dominic Mysterio and Seth Rollins going at it. Dominic was then interviewed by Sarah Schreiber, saying if people think he's crazy, wait till he challenges Seth Rollins for a match at SummerSlam.
This is going to be interesting. But then next, the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, comes out to the ring as Sasha and Bayley follow after her, after Sasha's match against Shayna. This match did actually end in DQ from Asuka running down, attacking Bayley.
Yeah, the match was a good back and forth.
Weird.
I wish we could have seen it through, but, it got disqualified because Asuka went down to the ring and attacked Bayley, so we'll have to wait and see. We then have Sasha and Bayley coming to the ring, Asuka asking for a match with Sasha at SummerSlam. Sasha then says she has to beat Bayley next week for a rematch for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam.
This is going to be interesting. I kind of hope to see this match, but then we cut to Angel Garza backstage with a member from The Bachelor. She was pretty hot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. She was hot. Nice blonde girl. But then we cut to Raw Underground, where I really have no idea what happened here, guys. I'm sorry. But there was a big guy that looked like the Great Khali.
Great Khali mixed with a Umaga or something like that.
He was just knocking people out left to right.
Like 7 feet, 350 pounds.
It was cool to see. We then cut to an angle as Montez Ford collapses ringside and distracts Dawkins, allowing Garza to kick Dawkins in the head for the win. This was weird. It was weird. We then cut to commercial and come back knowing that Montez Ford is actually supposed to face Andrade.
Yeah, he was able to get up, and the two had their match.
Ford dominated this match until he actually passes out again after doing that wiggling on the ropes that he does to hype in all the crowd up. But then we end this segment. It was weird. He passes out and he just again. Was knocked out in the ring.
And it was weird because he was doing some good moves in the ring. He had a suicide dive and a bunch of his flying techniques, and then all of a sudden he just collapses in the ring.
We then cut backstage to Buddy Murphy watching over his phone about what happened last week with Dominic, with Seth Rollins alongside him, as he looks up to Seth and
asks if he's going to accept Dominic's challenge, and Seth just smirks at him and walks away. We then cut back to Raw Underground as Eric's in the ring, and he completely knocks out a competitor.
I love this. These quick matches they're quick, but they're so hard hitting. It's like watching the UFC.
It's a good gap filler, very action-packed, short little sequences, so I love it. We then see Charlie Caruso backstage about to give us an update on Montez's Ford condition. All of a sudden, she is interrupted by
Zelina Vega and Andrade and Garza. But listen, Angelo Dawkins comes out and tells us that he might have been poisoned before the match. So then the EST of WWE, if you guys already know that, Montez Ford is actually married to Bianca Belair. She comes out and starts blaming Zelina that she has something to do with this and starts going to attack Zelina, but Dawkins actually holds her back. This was weird.
They tried to go at it and tear each other's eyes out, man. I thought we were going to see another eye for an eye match for a second.
But poisoning, come on. This is something we haven't seen.
We were teased of a new faction all night. We then see some strange guys in some black suits throwing Molotov cocktails at a generator.
I did hear a woman's voice, but, I just don't know what's going on at this point. And then we cut to Charlie Caruso as she talks to the Hurt Business backstage, asking if tonight is a weird coincidence with all men losing their gold. What happened? We see Bobby Lashley. He doesn't have a championship right now. But then we have, what is it?
We have MVP who lost his United States Championship that he really never won, so I don't know if you count that. And then you have Shelton Benjamin that lost the 24/7 championship.
Guys, I don't know.
The Hurt Business is about to go out of business, in my opinion.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, tonight is absolutely weird. Them losing their gold, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, MVP says they're going to make their way to Raw Underground, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We then cut to another promo of the intense rivalry between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, as we see Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins walking down to the ring.
What happens next is very weird. Seth actually calls out Tom Phillips, the commentator, saying that he is a poor journalist and how he cheered Dominic last week for hitting Seth and Buddy with that kendo stick. I mean, he demands Murphy then to take Tom out as Joe then stands up and confronts both men as Seth then tells Joe to come in the ring and settle it like men. This was cool seeing Samoa Joe get up like this for Tom.
Yeah,
the big guy that he is.
Cutting to commercial, we saw Samoa Joe about to go into the ring.
And then we come back with Samoa Joe just about entering the steps to go fight them too as Dominic comes out of nowhere and beats the hell out of
even hitting a dive from the top rope.
That was
cool. I love
cool.
to see it. I have a question for you. Do you think we are going to see a tag team match between Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins with Samoa Joe and Dominic Mysterio?
You know, I think it would be good to see him tag team with Samoa Joe. I mean, for a first match, for a singles match, that's big. And I mean, it's not in front of a crowd, but it's still something big. You're on live TV. I think it's still a lot of pressure for Dominic to handle right now. So I think a tag team match with Samoa Joe would best fit him, you know?
I couldn't agree more. We then get to the last segment of the night, the Hurt Business making their way down to the new Raw Underground. I personally couldn't see a better fit for Bobby Lashley, you know, him having that MMA background.
You know, they go down into the underground and they just clear the room. They fight off people. Bobby knocks people out. You know, MVP knocks people out. Shelton, he starts fighting people. This was really cool. We have never seen something like this, and this just got me pumped. To end the show, as we faded to black, the Hurt Business say that they own Raw Underground now, and it's under their stipulation. So I can't wait to see what happens now, guys. You guys got to stay tuned and see what happens because this is something that we have never seen before.
Alright guys, that was a crazy Monday Night Raw summed up for you guys. Let us know what you liked most about the show and what you think of the new Raw Underground. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Alright guys, peace out.
See ya.